Hi, I'm Keenan Williams,
And I'm Olivia Williams.
and I went from dropping out of high school, catching the felony, eating off the dollar menu, to meeting the love of my life and built $1 million a month business. And I'm lucky to be one of the passionate few. Man, the interview was super fire with Omar, man. He took us down memory lane. We just remembered everything that we went through, eating off the dollar menus, being broke, going from $300 to $3 million our first year in sales, just remembering all the problems we had, the bumpy roads,
Our glory days.
Our glory days, us celebrating with crabs after our first million. Man, so many memories, but we also talk about how we can help you, how it's tangible information for you, what we built for you guys to actually overcome whatever struggles you have.
Yeah.
Come check us out.
Welcome to this episode of The Passionate Few. Today our guest grew up in Alabama from very humble beginnings and aspired to do big things in life. But while he didn't know how to, it took a few years for him to figure it out when he ultimately was in Florida, met the woman of his dreams, and would ultimately start a company that would take him from eating off the dollar menu at Wendy's and McDonald's and ramen noodles to building a business into the millions. We have none other than Mr. Keenan Williams. Thanks so much for being on the show today, Keenan.
Thank you, boss.
It's a pleasure to have you on today, my man.
Pleasure to be here.
So let's get right into it. Tell the audience a little bit about what you do now, and then we'll get a little bit into your story and your childhood. But before you take us back, tell us a little bit of what you're up to now and how you've been able to build the business so successfully.
Oh man, right. Now we are pretty much in the spectrum of jumping on to another venture. But as far as our skincare company, everything is beautiful, it's perfect. We're up to 8 figures within 2 years, so that's amazing. And really just trying to focus on scaling. That's always been our main focus. Scale, scale, scale. Never want to be stagnant like the last month. We want to build it up, keep going.
I love it, man. And as you say, going into 8 figures, you're talking the 10 million plus territory.
Right.
Tens of millions. But, before that began, you started out very humble beginnings, right? Didn't look like you were headed for the millions. Take us back. Where did you grow up? What was your childhood like for you as a kid?
Yeah, man. Well, my mom, she moved us to Alabama around 5. I was 5. And just with that story alone, and just to really grasp the whole concept of everything, I'm adopted. My birth mother, she was on drugs heavy, crack, and I had a lot of that in my system and everything. My mom was the nurse at that time working at the hospital, and she pretty much built a relationship with the young lady who wanted to ultimately get an abortion. And she convinced her to keep it, and the moment I came out, I went home with my mom now.
Wow.
So it was a beautiful journey. And, that's when she wanted a better life. She always wanted a better life because I have 3 other siblings, and when she seen the opportunity to move to Alabama to start over, she did it with her and my father, So we moved to Alabama at 5, and that's pretty much where I started, man. Go to school and everything, and it was definitely a journey.
And you grew up kind of humble beginnings, rough situation financially. I mean,
yeah, man.
What were the economics like in the household as a kid?
I got you. Well, I can always say, man, my mom and my dad, they did the best they could. My mom, she ended up landing a manager gig at an apartment complex, and my dad worked up to the head maintenance man. So, with that being said, you would see a certain type of balance that pretty much led us into today, with my mom learning how to handle tough situations, being around, angry people, and my dad pretty much fixing whatever problem the apartments needed, So it was pretty much like a,
problem solvers.
Come on.
Yeah. Wow. And as a kid, did you aspire to do big things or entrepreneurship, or did that kind of seed start later for you as a kid? I mean, what were your dreams when you were that young?
Brother, I wanted to do everything.
Yeah.
I wanted to rap. I wanted to play ball. Anything that I could grasp onto to help my mom out. Because she always knew. I always said it. You could ask her today. She was like, he always said that, Mom, I'm going to buy your house. I'm going to buy your house. Even though we were in the process of already building the house. Because by that time, my parents were good at saving, Once they start meshing together, really, that's when everything went back up and, she was able to buy her house. But I said, I'm going to buy you a bigger house, Because, we was able to stay on the apartments because, like when you're a manager, you get a free apartment. So we was able to stay there for free and let them build their money up before we built a house in the country in Alabama.
Now, did you find being adopted as a kid kind of drove you, or did it in any way? Because there's a lot of great entrepreneurs, for example, like Steve Jobs, right? He was adopted, and I know in interviews he talks about how that drove him to prove something. Do you feel like you had that early on, or maybe that came about later, or
Man, brother,
not really?
Definitely later on, because I found out at 17. Yeah,
So you don't even know.
I didn't even know. At that point, I didn't know.
Wow.
And it kind of answered a lot of questions. Because I would notice things about myself, like why am I quick to anger when my family is more patient? Playing with certain toys. If I can't figure out the Rubik's Cube, I'm throwing it out the window, versus trying to figure it out. And, I was just always thinking about those type of things. Like, why am I like this? I do look like my mom a lot, and so I never really questioned, am I adopted or not?
Right.
But I just knew I had a different childhood compared to my siblings, because they were, at that time, I think my youngest sister at that time was 14 when I was like 2, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the age difference are completely there. The gap is huge. So I had to learn how to play with myself, you know what I'm saying? As far as like creating up fictional characters in my head, I use my name as my friends because my whole name is Keenan Jordan Williams. So I always had Keenan, Jordan, and Williams to play with, and it worked.
Homies, yeah.
And it worked,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow. And then how about entrepreneurially? Did you try different things?
Oh, I
in high
did,
school?
brother. I wanted these fresh kicks. I fucking wanted them very bad, brother. So I started saving every dollar, because at that time lunch was $1.50 every day. I saved every $1.50. My mom was wondering why I'm coming home scarfing down food, like, yo, we need more food in the house.
Yeah.
It was to the point where I was saving money, because I already knew they cost $130.
What were they? What kind of shoes?
Man, they were the Jordan 11s, I believe.
What color? Do you remember?
Man, I believe it was the Space Jams originals. I can't remember it specifically, but I'm pretty sure it was the Space Jams. I know at that time I had to have them, and I wanted a nice outfit to go with it, so I started pricing them. Like, yo, that's a lot of $1.50s.
That's a lot of lunch, yeah. That's a lot of pizza and ranch, yeah.
And it to the point, man, where my head, I never think of things in that nature of being bad at the moment. So my mom had this huge piggy bank that she said that was mine. Don't touch it till you go to college and everything.
Yeah.
But I used to take money out of it and put an IOU sign in there, just IOU on there. And she's like, did you take money out here? No, I didn't. Who put this sign? Nah, I took it.
And how old were you at this time?
Man, at this time, brother, I'm probably like 9, 10.
Oh, wow. So young, you had that drive.
Man, because you see everybody else with the nice stuff on.
Yeah.
And my parents, they always, kept me presentable, but, it's not the best.
Yeah,
If you're not the best in the house, in school, you're going to get rode on.
Especially at that age.
Yeah.
And this is in Alabama at that time.
This is Alabama.
Nice. How about any other entrepreneurial hustles as you maybe went into middle school or your early teens, high school? What are some of the things
selling candy, going to Dollar Tree, breaking down the 50-cent candy or whatever the case is, and selling it for like $3.
Yeah.
I had a pocket full of like the Kool-Aid. I'll put it in there. I have it like little like nick bags, like drug dealers. Like here, $5. You get this whole thing.
Got a strawberry thing.
Yes. Pretty much trying to hustle my way up. I always wanted money in my pocket. Always. I never wanted to not know what it feels like to not have money, because growing up around certain neighborhoods that we had to go pick up on the buses, I seen how tough it was from them. To me, my environment was way easier than theirs, So I had a fear. It was like a fear that struck a chord in me, like, yo, I don't want to end up like this. And I know for a fact that I possibly could, because at that time, the only outs we had was either rapping, sports, you know what I'm saying? So these are the only things that's actually plaguing my mind at the time. Like, if I don't do this, I'm going to be a nobody.
Yeah.
So let me at least try to hustle up enough money to do different things.
Yeah, because this is in a day and age where there's probably not YouTube where you could learn about entrepreneurship.
At all.
And I know now you have, programs and educational courses where you help entrepreneurs build businesses the same way you went from 0 to 7 figures plus.
Exactly.
So back in the day, there was no education online, right? It's only what you see on TV.
Brother. And I always wanted to dare to be different. You know, I used to draw on my shoes, man. I'm talking about drawing like the Eminem logo on the top of my my Jordans or my Forces.
Yeah.
You know, pretty much just trying to create different hustles. So I would tell people, yo, give me $25, give me your shoes after Friday, and I'll bring them back Monday, you know, and they'll be fresh and you'll be ready to go. You know, I used to advertise myself by wearing, my favorite was by far my black Air Forces that my godbrother bought me.
Yeah.
And I drew like the purple Skittle logo, and I always had a pack of Skittles with me, and I would drop them on the ground as I walked. You know, pretty much trying to create a grand entrance, like, oh, that's a Skittle man.
Yeah.
You know, so that's my way of advertising back in school. At that point, I was in middle school, transitioning.
Wow, so you're like 12, 13 at that point.
Yeah, man.
And you always had Skittles on you as like
exactly.
Move,
you know, so everybody know, okay, he's in the lunchroom. That's him. Let's go
They're
talk
gonna
to him.
taste my rainbow. Yeah. I get it, man.
Yes.
Very cool. How about into high school? Did that continue?
It continued. It slowed down because then, you know, in high school, going through identity crisis, you know, because you see certain artists that comes up like T.I., you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, he was, you know, from down south as well. You know, at that time he's buzzing. I'm like, I want to be like that guy. He has confidence. He walks in the rooms and owns it. You know, just seeing certain things, I'm like, I want that. Because, you know, in school you have to put on a certain front. Sure. You know, especially in our schools, like, all the schools was always bad, you know, especially going towards high school. I was used to staying at my mother's friend's house every day after school, and I have to go underneath this bridge. And the bridge is horrible. It's gangbangers under there, you know, either trying to mess with you, you know, you gotta act corny or like, you know, just to joke around and laugh so you can make them laugh. Like, oh, you cool. We ain't gonna beat you up. But there was plenty of people they beat up underneath there. So I'm like, man, I tried to come up with an edge to keep me safe.
It taught you how to build those skills that sort of protected you.
Yeah.
Now, what about when you were 17, right? Because it's around that time in high school that your parents told you that you were adopted.
Yeah.
Do you remember the moment they told you?
Oh, brother, it was like a Twilight Zone moment, you know? I, at that time, was with my daughter's mother, and my mom was saying, hey, son, let's go to the park. I'm like, Mom, why you randomly saying let's go to the park? That's not you. You know?
Yeah.
That's not you. You randomly
17
saying
years old, why do we go to the park?
Exactly. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Let's go, you know? So I go to the park, and it's 2 gazebos, you know? It's one whole family on one side, and it's my family on one side, you know? And I'm looking, because everybody's staring at me. So, you know, automatically you get queasy, like, yo, what's going on here? What's going on here? Well, how is these people looking? Like, if we're going to have a party, let's have a party. But my brother's wife, she's sitting there pouring out crying before anything was said. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, somebody died that I don't know about, you know, you can tell me, you know, I'm a big boy, I can take it. And, you know, that's when the birth mother, she walked over there as well. And we all went for a walk. And my mom said, this is your birth mother. Wow. It's like my world ripped upside down. You know what I'm saying? Because adoption was never in my head that could possibly be me, you know? And that's why I credited my family a lot, because they never treated me any different. You know, my brother treated me just as harsh. He beat me up just as enough. You know what I'm saying? My sisters, they loved me, you know, just enough for me to never know any of this, you know? And I just like fell on my knees, man. And my sister, she came to my aid, and she was like, listen, nothing changes. We're still family. Nothing changes. You know, it's just that now you have an additional family. And at that point, I didn't see it that way, because once I started talking to the woman, the first thing she told me was, I'm surprised you're not in jail or dead.
Wow.
Because
this is your biological mother.
Yes, because it's a whole bunch of ladies there, you know? All of the brothers, my brothers, were in jail for, you know, heinous crimes, either murder or attempted murder or something of that nature, you know? And that automatically let me know exactly who I'm not trying to be around, you know? Because I've seen some of them before. And that was my mom's reasoning. She said, listen, she has cancer. She's been asking to see you since you were yay high. And I've been trying to keep that out of your life because I don't want you to be confused, and I don't want that to happen, you know. But as she kept saying it, like, yo, I don't know how long I have. My mom, she was, pulled on my mom's heartstrings and stuff. So it's like, and at that time I was always in trouble. I was always in trouble. I'm bouncing back and forth because at that time I'm over here going between from my brother's house, causing a little ruckus down there, getting shipped to my godmother's house, causing a little ruckus down there, and then back to my mom's house, all within like a year and a half, year and a half. So she said, I wanted to show you so you can see how much you should appreciate what life you do have, And boy, that wasn't the reaction at first.
Yeah, wow. And how old were you when you had a kid?
Man, I was turning 18. I was close to turning 18.
So it was right around that same time.
Yeah, because I wanted to clean my life up. Once I got through hating the world, you sitting there like, yo, this shouldn't be me. This should be you. This should be random people I'm pointing at.
Why
This should
me?
be you. I know I wanted a better life because I know I wasn't doing nothing good. I was just running around, getting in trouble all the time. And once I knew I was having my daughter, I knew I had to get out. Alabama is one of those places where, at least the little small city we was in, Montgomery, we already know if you have a job there at 18, that's the same job you're gonna have at 25. It works like that, And it's like, I know I have to get out of here. I don't wanna repeat this insanity, this same redundant routine. So let me go apply, and get a better life for my daughter. So we moved here. I think my first job was Walmart.
Walmart. How old were you at that time? Around 18?
Yeah, around 18, 19, it was in a small town because my mom already had a spot up here. She was pretty much ushering me to say, yo, son, we're leaving. You should come with us, And at the first I didn't want to hear it, but once I found out, I'm like, yeah, let me go ahead and go down there and try to give my daughter a better life. So that's what we did. I moved down there with my child's mother, and we stayed at my mom's house.
What state?
This was, this is still Florida. But it's like the Zephyr Hills part. Yeah.
And then at what point does Skechers come into the mix? Because I know working at Skechers is actually an integral part of your story.
Oh yeah, man. It comes much later. It comes much later. After Walmart doing what we have to do, with differences, me and my child's mother split, I just wanted to make sure my child knew that I could be that breadwinner so nothing would ever change, But I know it was a hard journey, especially with me and her. She was definitely a rock for the longest time, what I'm saying? She kept us up. I'm in the bed crying. She wiping my face like, Dad, we'll be okay. You know what I'm saying? Because I never wanted to be home. I always wanted to be at my brother's house or around another family member. Because I didn't know how to operate alone with a child.
Right.
Even though it's my child, I'm working 24/7. So, you really never grasp full fatherhood until you have you in, the child's time by yourself.
Sure. Yeah. Especially that young.
Yeah, it was.
And
it
you're
was
pretty
young.
broke at this time.
Man, we were eating fish and grits every day, brother. I had a plug.
Yeah.
I had a friend that was over there working at the fish, at the seafood market.
Yeah.
And he was like, listen, all I can give you is tilapia. I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take it. I have a whole bunch of grits. You know what I'm saying? And that was my daughter's favorite meal. She was excited every night.
Oh,
man. I had to play it up like, guess what we finna have.
Yeah.
And she'll say fish and grits,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Making the best of what your situation.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then what comes next?
Right after that, I believe that's when my wife came into play.
And this is in Florida?
This is in Florida.
And this is the infamous Olivia,
Yes,
who's now your wife.
Do you mind if I bring her on?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hello.
So nice to have you on.
Nice to be here. Sorry.
Yes.
A
Well,
little
tell
nervous.
me a little bit, because I know, Keenan, before the interview, you were telling about how you guys met and how Olivia was actually a catalyst to you changing your life.
Yes.
So take us back to, where did you guys meet? And
Man.
how did that love story begin?
It's crazy, man, because, with us going out every weekend in the club, me and my cousin at the time, we're going out every weekend, but where we're going out, we knew it was wrong from the beginning. Like, we're cashing out our check, spending the whole check on the outfit,
Yeah.
catching the bus to the club, getting
No
off
way.
getting off like 5 minutes before so we can walk around the corner so people wouldn't notice us.
Yeah, they wouldn't see the... Yeah.
Like with our shirts off so we don't sweat that much.
Yeah.
So we had a whole little thing going on.
a whole plan.
And I'm like, yo, we can't be in here having fun and every time the club ends, we have to end up either walking home or sleeping inside his stepdad's little area, because they have a little sleeping area that you can sleep in.
Yeah.
And then we'll just catch the bus home in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, yo, let's stop doing this, you know, and we'll say, listen, man, this is our last time going out. You know we won't really be going nowhere. These are the same people that we've been around for, you know, the few years, you know, and that's when we went out one more time, you know. I know everybody in the club, you know, been there so many times.
And how old are you at this stage?
Oh, man, at this time, I am
4.
24? I'm 24.
No, you were 23.
I'm 23 at this time.
Yeah. And no $1 million business, no business,
None of
nothing.
that.
Yeah.
None of that. But I was still thinking I was Papi Chulo at that time.
Yeah.
You know, I had the long hair,
Yeah.
you know, I had a little swab about myself. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And for those of you guys wondering, his Instagram is actually papichulo_dreaded.
Yes.
You guys can give him a follow there. Check him out.
Please do. Man, so we go in the club and everything. I scope out the whole place. I'm at the top at this time, you know, and that's when I seen my wife in there. You know, I'm like, yo, who's that? She's different. She's new. She looks like she doesn't belong. She looked uncomfortable. Like, that's not her scene.
Yeah.
You know, so I went down there. I'm like, let me go down here. Let me
investigate.
investigate. You know, make sure she's not with somebody or whatever the case is.
Drop some Skittles.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I approach her or whatever the case is. I'm just playing it cool. I see her shrugging guys off or whatever the case is. I'm like, I like that. She's not available to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, let me just go closer. And then I'm making jokes about the guys who she's shrugging off.
Yeah.
You know, then eventually one song came in, I'm like, all right, you got to have the courage. And I slid down and we're just sitting there dancing. You know, and she started grooving with me because I seen her laughing at the jokes we were saying. I'm like, okay, I have to try it, man.
I love it.
You
And
know?
like they say, laughing jury is never a hanging jury, right?
Yeah, come on, man.
So you get her laughing, you guys start talking, you guys hit it off right away?
Oh,
or
man.
What happened?
Yeah, brother. We're danced all night to the point where her friends left her and my cousin left me. Say, yo, you finna be here? I'm finna walk around.
Yeah.
I'm gone.
Wow. And what was
he
your
was-
first impression of Keenan?
My first impression was, like you said, I didn't want to be there
Yeah.
at all. I'm like, I don't want to be here. Like, it's a lot of people here, and I'm a homebody. I'm telling my friends, I'm like, okay. Now I'm just people watching.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I'm people watching. I'm like, okay, look at that person. Look at this person. And I look by the door, and I'm like, look at that guy in them pants. He has on, like, black pants with gold chains on them. So
Papi Chulo in the house.
Yeah.
Come on.
So we keep walking, and then we stop. We're like, okay, well, let's just chill here and see how it goes. And I hear somebody come behind me, and they crack a joke, and I'm like, just laughing. And I'm like, he's so funny. Who is this guy? And I look down, I'm like, to my friends, I'm like, it's the guy with the pants.
With the gold
It's the guy with the
pants.
pants.
Yes.
And I look up, he looks handsome. So I'm like, okay, yeah, let's dance. We can talk. You look safe.
Yeah.
And from there, like he said, our friends left us, and
We danced the whole night, brother. I'm
Yeah.
thinking the club,
Really?
listen, the club opened up at 10.
Yeah.
We're in there at 10, dancing all the way to 3.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
it seemed like a 50-minute time frame.
Just flew.
yeah.
It flew, you know. And it's just something, the energy was there. It was different, you know. I knew it was otherworldly. It had
We
to
was
be.
in our own little bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
For everybody to leave us, and then we realized, like, oh, they left.
Yeah. I called my friends like, where do you guys go? And they're like, oh, we left because we saw you with that guy, and
Yeah.
we thought you knew him. And I was like, I didn't know him.
Yeah.
You know,
And it was
so-
like, well, you guys were like really close, like you guys knew each other. And I'm like, we were just standing there dancing with each other and basically talking the whole night.
Yeah.
But I didn't know him. Come get me.
Yeah.
So they left me with a stranger.
Yeah, I walked her to a car though, you know, like being complete gentleman. I was still thinking like, wow, people left.
Yeah.
But, you know, walked her to the car and everything, so, you know.
And then at this time, I know you guys start dating and things kind of got serious really quick. You guys realized there was power there. But Keenan, you also mentioned to me that Olivia helped revolutionize your way of thinking, right?
Yes, yes.
And if it wasn't for her, there would be no business, there would be no marketing, there
Of
would
course
be
not.
no first million and beyond, right?
Right.
So talk to me about where that shift happened and how the relationship played a key role in you turning your life around, your business around.
Man, brother, like, just like you said, man, like, we hit it off pretty quickly. You know, her new babysitter was in the same apartment complex as me, so I was super happy about that. I'm like, wow, I get to see you all the time now.
Yeah.
You know, man, just that first date, man. I only had a few dollars in my pocket. You know, I'm like, let's go eat up the street.
Did she know that or no?
No, I didn't know.
No. I had to play it cool.
Yeah, you were loaded as
I
far
was
as
the
she was
cool broke
concerned.
person.
Yeah.
I was
he
the
was
cool
so
broke
smooth.
guy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I got like $20 in my pocket, but we're gonna make it work. You
Yeah.
know, so luckily Netflix saved us, and had a nice dinner. Even though the tax came a little too high, I'm like, cut it on, please.
Yeah,
please.
yeah.
And they were like, we got you.
Yeah.
You know, but just going through those times, man, and she already had career goals, you know, and of course they were definitely. I was scared. Let's put it like that. I was scared because I knew I didn't have anything to offer at that time.
Were you intimidated?
Very. You know, you don't meet too many women with clear goals. Like, I'm doing this. I'm going to open up a business. I'm going to open up a restaurant once I use this money from the military. She had a whole plan, man. And I'm sitting there like, yo, I just came from the club last week. I'm getting outfits just so I can go out.
I'm eating fish and grits.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm sitting there like, yeah, I love it. I'm like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? What? You know, and at that time, man, we were falling more in love every single day. Every hour felt like 10 hours. You know, it felt like an eternity every visit. You know, to the point I never wanted her to leave. We standing by the door talking for hours when she was supposed to leave because she got to go to work. I'm like, oh man, I work at nighttime, so I'm sitting there like, yo, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I worked overnight too.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was definitely something, brother. And when it came down to having that hard conversation, like, yo, I'm going to leave. You know, it was one of the hardest ever because, you know, I didn't want her to go, but that's one of the first times I can say I was truly selfless. Like, man, I don't want to be the reason why you stop your goals. You have clear goals in life.
And this is in regards to her leaving to go to the military?
Yes.
Gotcha.
You know, and
So
I
it
was
was time for her to go, and it was hard for you to kind of
crying,
accept
brother.
that.
Crying. I'm like, yo.
Crying, just.
Really
Like,
crying.
You know, and I'm sitting there trying to say the right words.
Please, yeah.
Like, listen, just go and we can be friends. And, you know, in my head it's, shut up. Don't say that. Yeah. Tell her to stay.
And how old are you at this time?
Man, at that time, I'm still 23.
23. Okay.
I'm still 23, turning. 24 was coming close. 24 was cutting it close. But I'm like, man, Jesus. You know, and she was like, I'm going to think about it.
Yeah.
You know, of course, in your head, you like, please say you'll stay. But then the other part of me was, please go. Because the last thing I want to do is ruin somebody who I truly feel like I've been in love for the first time in my life. Stay and I'm nothing. You know, like I don't have nothing to offer this woman. At that time, I just had a job, you know, like, and it was a piece of crap ass, you know, it was super, super horrible.
Do you remember how much you were making an hour at that time?
Brother, at that time, I think this job I was working I was making $7 because I had Skechers and the warehouse at the same time.
Yeah.
So the warehouse was from 12 to 6, Skechers was from 9 to 3. You know, my total paycheck from both of those jobs after the week was like $500. You know, after taxes, like $400. So I'm working my tail off, trying to do something, even though I knew that wasn't enough, you know, because I wanted to give her the world immediately. I'm like, yeah, we're in the projects right now, but it can grow to a mansion, you know, in my head.
Yeah.
But she came back, man, and she said, I'm gonna stay. I believe in us. Man, my soul broke because I knew I had to reform it and be more in life now. More than I ever been in life. I had to grow to be a person I couldn't see because I dropped out in 11th grade. At that time, I already caught a felony, you know what I'm saying, from just doing knucklehead stuff in the street, you know, and I was trying to repair my life. So getting that nighttime job, I only got that because all my brothers and, you know, cousins worked there. So they got me that job. Skechers was super hard, you know, but good thing the judge ruled adjudicated withheld, so I was able to get that job. Still after like extensive, so I'm like, yo, how do I do this with all these, you know, how can I take care of, because she had a son, a 4-year-old son, and I have a 4-year-old daughter. So I'm like, we can be a family, but, you know, family comes money, comes stability, you know, financial stableness. And I'm like, how am I gonna do this? You know what I'm saying? Even though I assured her, like, man, I'm so glad we finna do big things. I didn't know how we was about to do it, brother. I didn't know
Told me to quit
nothing.
my job.
I told her to quit her job.
Really?
Yes.
And
Like an idiot.
Yeah. and your motivation in your head was like, this is gonna be fuel on the fire because I'm gonna make this work. I'm gonna figure out the finances. I'm gonna make it work. And no experience.
None at all.
Just pure firepower, motivation, desire.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Olivia, did you see like a change in him? Like what made you trust that he could turn his life around or see the potential? Was it just the way he was talking about it or the fire in his eyes? I mean, what was it where you trusted him?
Well, like I said, it was this unreal trust that I have for him. It's like, I don't know why I trust you, but I trust you.
Yeah.
But I'm still gonna make sure I have a backup plan because my mom always said, don't depend on anyone
Yeah.
until they can show you that they can do everything they're saying they're doing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I love you. I'll stay. And I'm not going to quit my job.
Yeah.
But we're going to see how it works out. And I know for a fact if I do stay, we're going to make something happen. We have to make something happen. So if he got lazy or decided that he wasn't going to go through anything that he said he was going to go through, that's when I was going to be like, okay, well, I gave it a chance, I gave it a try. I'm still young. I'm going to the military. But he pushed through, and everything he said he was going to do, he did. And I was excited. Like every time, any request, he made it happen.
Yeah.
And
Which is crazy.
yeah, it made me so proud.
I don't even hide no idea.
It was amazing. It was like Superman. Like,
It was God, bro.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you need this? And I'm like, yeah, I need that, but I was going to work for it. And he was like, well, I got it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he was doing it, but
That's
he was
love,
making
huh?
things
The power of a
happen.
woman.
Brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, the power of the right
Unreal.
woman.
Unreal.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And talk to me about Skechers. What happened at Skechers that made the shift? Because I know there was an
Yeah.
event right there, right?
Yeah, man. Like,
That started the $1 million business run.
come on, brother. Like, pretty much, Skechers was quit right before I met my wife. It's busy, you know, and I'm the type of person that will come through for you because all I ask for is respect. As a man, I want respect. I know you might be a manager. I know you might have more money than me. I know you might be in a better position, but give me respect as a human being. I told every boss that I ever worked, from Chuck E. Cheese to Walmart to Skechers, like, yo, I just want respect as a man. They were like, what? You know, it's always like when you hear that from a kid, you're like, okay. You
Especially
know?
you're making $7 an hour. You're like, I want some respect.
Come
around
on, man,
here.
because
Yeah.
I'm going to work my tail off. I've worked my ass off for that company, you know? We were like first in the region, like the year I came on. I'm selling shoes like crazy. I'm identifying customers like, okay, cool, this is an older person. So let me go ahead, prefer them to these type of shoes. Let me go ahead, this is a young person, so I know they might want to be into our hipper shoes that I would wear. So I'm sitting there selling everything because I felt a little bit of loyalty. Because he took us to what's the golfing place? Virtual golf.
Was it Top Golf?
Top Golf.
Yeah.
He took us to Top Golf, man. And you know, as a team, and I'm like, yo, I like that. So I worked my tail off. Every weekend he asked me to come in when it wasn't my weekend. I'm coming in for you. I'm gonna be there for you 100%. I came in on 9 people shifts at that time. He'll just have to call me, Keenan. I'm like, I'm there. Cause I felt like this loyalty, this brotherhood. And man, I was coming off a break. It was a busy Saturday. My sister called me. She called me the first time. I missed her call because I'm thinking she just want to talk. But she said emergency in the text. I call her right before I go back on, and she's like, yo, our mom just had a stroke. You need to get to the hospital. And I'm like, what? Okay, you know, send me the address. And I hung up. And this time, like, it seemed like our hours are not that long. And my manager at the front, you know, and I'm like, yo, I'm sitting there. That was like the longest walk ever. Because in my head, I'm not super, you know, keen on strokes. I just know sometimes you have it and you might not survive.
Right.
You know, so I'm in my head thinking my mom can pass from this. My healthy mom who go to the store 3 times a day, you know what I'm saying? Like, sit there, talk trash with the best of them. I'm thinking, you know, like, how, you know? So I asked him, like, I need to go see my mom. My mom just had a stroke in the hospital. I just need to go right now. And his response was, go back out there and sell shoes. This is Saturday. Do you see what day this is? I'm like, I just told you my mom had a stroke. I don't care. Go back out there and sell shoes. You know, obviously, two options in my head. You know, it's either me and this guy finna have it out, or I'm just throw on my shirt and leave. And that's what I did. I chose the second option. I threw on my shirt, left super fast, and went by my mom. You know what I'm saying? Went by her side and everything. Because to me, that's the most important thing. Family. You know, family. You know, the woman who, obviously, you know, at this point, I know how much my mom has done for me from being adopted. So I'm like, yo, I have to be by her side if these are her last hours, you know. Luckily, you know, she's alive and well today, you know. But I told myself I would never work for nobody else who disrespected me. Walmart was the same thing. I had to deal with racism. You know, guys saying, yo, man, we ain't not one of these little boys in the street like you used to. Not one of your little friends in the hood, you know, not even knowing my background. I worked my way up from cart pusher to electronics manager at that job. So my work ethic has always been to grow at whatever I'm doing, no matter what. I don't know how I'm going to get there. I know if I just keep applying pressure, something will change.
Right.
You know, I'm over here educating myself on what it is to be an electronic manager. I'm trying to learn from the previous ones there. You know, I'm like, yo, I want to, because I had, diapers was expensive, man. You know, they're like $17.99 at the time. My daughter running through them like crazy. I'm like, I need money. You know, so just to go back to this, I said, nah, I have to figure this out myself. So the only job I kept was a nighttime job, you know, just in case. I'm like, I got to keep this. I'm not going back to work for nobody else, though. I need to find another way.
Wow. And you quit and never looked back.
I quit, man. Never looked back, brother. You know, I started educating myself on anything online. Because at that time, I got on early Instagram, where...
What year is this?
Man, this is 2015, I believe. 2015, 16. It's around that time, man. To the point where I got on early Instagram as far as, like, the celebrity status. Like, where you can grow 10,000 followers like that from just getting shouted out by somebody else who's, you know what I'm saying, who has followers as well. So... I jumped in that lane with the shout out for shout out, you know? And I was trying to figure out how to make money from this early ages, because I went back to the mindset of selling candy in school and everything. Like, I need to find something out. I'm pretty sure people are making money online. And that's when a couple people, they were. They kept it quiet though, you know? I seen them like upgrading things. They kept quiet. They kept posting stuff. I'm like, this ain't a picture of you. What is this? Nobody didn't want to let me know, you know? One brother, he did, you know, he's super popular on social media now, so thank you, K-Way, you know, but he finally let me know, yo, man, we're over here doing advertisements for this company. And in that time I was getting close to 100,000 followers on social media. So I'm like, okay, cool, you know, let's try that. And we tried to promote people, you know, we started making a little money. As soon as we made $500 a week, which was my total for both of those jobs, I quit mine.
Wow.
You know?
So you had been growing Instagrams, and then like people pay you $500 for a shout out, or a couple $100 for a shout out, or
yeah, man. I was charging cheap prices, brother. I was charging like $25 for 24 hours, hitting up everybody who had a business. Period. Like, yo, I can help you grow. You know, to me, I was worrying about the macro. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, cool. If I keep getting all this, I can accumulate enough money to take care of my family.
Right.
You know, so that's pretty much what I did, man. I kept it at, I'm like, man, if we can make $500 a week consistently for at least 3 weeks, I quit my nighttime job. That's what I did. Mm-hmm. You know, when we got close to 1,000, that's why I said, babe, you can really quit your job now.
Yeah.
You know?
We got to 1,000 a week.
Yeah, when I got to 1,000 a week.
And then how did the company, which would later take you guys into the 7 figures, how did that come about as you built the social media platform? Because social media was a big part of how you guys built the business.
Yes, it was a big part, and all of a sudden, a certain thing called Kit came in, and people switched up how they would do promotions, and we kind of lost that revenue. I'm like, oh my God, we just went to zero. Yeah. You know, so it's like, had to find other means. Yeah. You know, so reaching out, that's when I stumbled upon like affiliate companies real quick, you know? And this whole time, man, we already had our business concept in play for one of the affiliate companies I was working for. I was promoting skincare for them, and things were going amazing. You know, money was growing. It went from 1,000 a week to like 2,000 a week. You know, 5,000 a week. This is life-changing money. We're eating good at this point. We're eating at every restaurant in town. Yeah. Like, baby, we good. We're the president of Tampa. Let's go.
And this is skincare, the skincare niche.
Yeah, this is skincare niche, you know, that we was promoting for everybody else. Because then that's when I started veering into checking out different events, you know. This is literally like one of my first suits that I ever bought. My stylist said, yo, we got to be bold. You have to be noticed. I'm like, I don't want to be bold. I don't even wear suits. I wear black tees and white tees, you know. But he was like, listen, let me style you up and trust me, you know. I started to meet certain people because they was, you know, the compliments on the outfits. Like, yo, you should get into this. And that's how I got into the skincare niche with them. And it was going amazing, you know. And it's like the moment where we tried to, like, we was like, let's get a house now. Let's get a house. Because at this time, this would be our second house. Because the first one we had from the apartment, which let's just go back a little bit. It was that moment, you know, in the projects when my wife moved in with me, and it's pretty much dark one night, you know, and she told me to bring my gun. I didn't know why, but she's my eyes. She's always been more
I
aware.
saw suspicious people in the neighborhood that wasn't necessarily there, like regularly, and they were like looking at us. My husband, he's just walking. Like I moved in with him, so he's like, nah, these are normal people. I'm like, no, I don't know him, and I've been here for a couple months, so it's looking kind of weird because they're eyeballing us, and he's just trailing through like, I own the neighborhood.
Blasting some music.
Yeah,
you know?
And I'm like, this is weird.
Yeah.
So he went upstairs, and I'm like, okay, the trash needs to be taken out. Can you take that out? And he's like, yeah, I'll take it out. I was like, please take your gun, because you don't know these people. And he's like, no, I don't need my gun. I'm like, you need your gun. This is weird. I get real vibes from these people, and you need to take your gun. Yeah. And he's like, no. I'm like, take the gun.
It was like literally a 5-minute conversation
Yeah.
about should I take a weapon to take out trash for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
In my head, it didn't make sense, but in her head, it made perfect sense. And that probably is the ultimate thing that saved my life that night. You know, the guys came around the back where the camera wasn't because it was facing a different way, and they came in there with guns. You know, and that's because I think we bought a 60-inch TV at that time.
And this is when you're making $5,000-$10,000 a week or whatever.
Exactly.
So,
You know, so I got my gun. We're both raising it. And all I want them to do is leave, man. You know, but you got people over the balcony, they're just watching. They got their phones out. I'm thinking they're calling the police, but they're recording. Like, what y'all gonna do? What y'all gonna do? That's the words. What y'all gonna do? Versus, you know, stupid shit. Instead of like,
just trying to help. They're trying to put on World Star.
Yeah, you know, like you want somebody to die in this situation.
Yeah.
You know? And I'm like, man, we got to get out of here. We saved $20,000 the best way we could.
Yeah.
McDonald's, Wendy's dollar menu. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, oodle noodles, man. Sat there, saved enough money just to move in the first house, just to find out that people were breaking in houses over there.
Yeah.
You know, so this house that we was trying to move into from the skincare, you know, just go back to that now, from the money that we was making from skincare. I'm like, man, let's do this. You know, I get paid really well from them. At that time, I could scale it up to $5,000 to $10,000 a week. If it was $10,000, I probably made $5,000 profit. So I'm like, yo, we can move in with this. You know, we can go ahead and break ground or whatever the case is and have our own house. And that's about the time that we was going into getting it, they end up missing. They going missing, man. You know, the company, like, they were like, yo, we'll pay you when this person comes back from vacation. Like, okay, what, 3-day vacation? Like, we'll see. It was like 3 months, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
We lost that. We had to move back into an apartment.
Yeah, we had just.
So it was like up, down,
Yes.
up, down.
Yeah.
And just to go back real quick on that night with the gun, so you go out, take out the trash, and guys pull up with guns?
Yeah, like they was walking up. They came up from behind the buildings. It's horrible lighting in that old apartment of mine.
Now, what did they want, or what was the...
They just said, give it up, man. You know what I'm saying? Give it up, run the pockets, you know? And I'm like, yo, I got gym shorts on. I really got too much on. I change my clothes every time I go in the house, you know? And I'm like, I don't have nothing. At the time, I'm holding my guns up. They're like, you must got something. Let's go in your house. I'm like, we're not going in my house. Because her son is there, you know what I'm saying? And she's
there, of course. Yeah.
And I'm like, we're not going to my house. That's what we're not going to do. We can sit out here and, you know what I'm saying, have an old-fashioned showdown if that's what we're going to do. And I'm looking for the people. I'm trying to signal the people. I'm talking loud, man, so everybody in the neighborhood could possibly hear me, so they can call the police, man. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a horrible experience. We ended up backing off like 10 minutes later. They went their way, ran, And I ran back upstairs. You know, at that time, I jumped right in the shower. My wife, like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm sitting there crying profusely, man. I'm mad because I'm like, somebody could have really took me away from my family. Like, I prayed for this. I wanted this so bad, a family. And just to lose it like this, you know, these are the thoughts that was going through my head. I'm like, yeah, I have to, we got to do better in life. We have to move.
So that became your motivation
Yes.
to get up and make things happen.
For sure.
Okay, and then going back to the skincare company, and are you guys promoting them as an affiliate online through email, social media, or what was
Social
the
media,
business model?
Instagram.
So, for example, they have a product for $50.
Yep.
You post about it.
I'll post about
you
it.
get 50% if someone buys.
Exactly.
You get $25.
Exactly.
And you guys figured out a way to scale it by posting on Instagram, or what was specifically you guys
Strictly
doing?
Instagram, brother. We kept posting it through Instagram.
So you're posting nonstop
Come
all day
on,
long.
reaching out to influencers, bro.
Yeah.
Like, was really running the game, brother. You know, and really working at a high risk. I'm talking about I'm working at those hours that people are asleep. You know, because I'm like, yo, if I can do this, I know in California, right? It might be, you know, 3 o'clock where I'm from, but it's 12 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? In
So you're playing the
California.
time zones.
Exactly. And that was a huge part of the success with that. Because that was when we made the bulk of our money, is at nighttime, because people were asleep. You know, all the people who I knew who was probably doing the same thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I know how to get off on you. My wife's, you know,
You're just on the phone, like,
I got
"We're
music in my ears
Don't
and I'm
worry,
over
babe,
here.
Don't worry, babe. Yeah. And so you're paying influencers to post it and
Yes.
hey, use my affiliate link. And
Yes.
So you're just running that hustle.
I'm running it, man.
Wow. And you auditioned a bunch of different things to sell before you realized that niche was the most profitable.
Yes,
for
brother.
what you
I
guys
was
were
doing
trying to do.
hair niches. They was probably paying a few because with Instagram, it was already the most popular,
Yeah.
you know, site.
Especially at that time, yeah.
Especially, you know,
So
when
you're
you know,
trying
like
a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, the algorithm is like perfect.
Yeah.
Like everybody in the world can see you.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can get seen by like Barack Obama. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like from posting one thing at that time. So I'm like, yo, everything we selling is hot, but this is hot. We never made this type of money before, and at that time it still was like 5,000-10,000, but that was like 5,000-10,000 a week.
And what's the price point of the products?
Man, the products was I think they would sell it for 80 and they would give me 50, but their planning is hitting it on the email marketing. So
Right.
they were making a lot. They was making a killing.
Exactly.
People was bringing it up to my attention. They were like, "Look, when you go to these events, you're a rock star. How can you not see that?"
Yeah.
People walking up to you, they, "Hey man," they giving me a hugs. You know, they're like, "Yo, VIP, everything is on us." You know, because me, I told you, man, I'm just a happy-go-lucky guy, man. I'm really just there to take care of my family. So I'm not really thinking about numbers. I'm not really thinking about the back end of business. I'm just worrying about my family. And the moment where I didn't get paid for 3 months, it changed my mind completely on what's the game. Now it's time to be the hustler instead of the customer, you know?
So instead of being an affiliate, you start your own skincare company.
Yeah, and I told them that. I said, yo, I'm finna start my own thing, you know? And matter of fact, we had that conversation literally right before this happened, and they scared me to not do it. They say, yo, you know, starting a business is a heavy thing, you know, like you gotta deal with lawsuits. I'm like, oh, lawsuits, oh my God, I don't wanna deal with that. You could lose everything. I'm like, I'll just stick with this. So they was kind of baiting me to stay in that little, you know what I'm saying, in the bubble.
Keeping you playing small, yeah.
You know, but after that, I said, I can't put my family through that. We had to move back after we sat there. Listen, going to model homes is me and my wife's like thing.
Yeah.
You know, if we want to be cheered up, we're going to model homes. We're looking at different homes.
Love that, yeah.
The beautiful, just the beauty in moving into a new place. So for us to talk about that every night, you know, and
We
for
used
them
to have
to
our kids run and pick out their rooms.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
go pick out your room. They used to run through the model homes. Like, yeah, we found our rooms. Like, one day.
Yeah,
Just
you
to
know?
visualize.
And that was that
create
day. I'm like,
reality,
we got
manifest
enough.
it.
Let's make it happen. And not paying us for 3 months. So me telling the guy who's waiting for the money, saying, yo, you guys can move in tomorrow. I'm like, just wait. And I'm praying every day. I'm contacting them every day too. They said they still haven't come back or they're avoiding my calls.
So you're waiting for that payment to move into the place.
Yes. You know? And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. That's when no money was coming in. You know, no money was coming in at all, man. And I'm like, yo, I got to start my own business. I got to start my own business. And what's funny is with Skechers, they never sent me my last check. I don't know if it's the way I left or whatever the case is, but they sent that last $300 check. I knew exactly what to do with it. I'm going to order products. You know, I'm starting very small, very, very, very small, very small. And with that money, we're going to start this company. You know, I drew up the little logo on a piece of napkin. I showed her.
And how did you come up with the name?
Man, KO Elixir, funny, is Keenan and Olivia.
Ah,
I told my
KO.
wife, I told my wife, I'm like, I'm gonna put it in, you know. So I'm like,
I thought it meant like knockout elixir or something.
No.
That's cool. So KO elixir.
right.
And that's interesting because a lot of people would see you and they would think, you know, oh, skincare, that's a feminine company or whatever. But you saw the opportunity, you saw the numbers that it made sense. Did you guys talk about different ideas or like in terms of what business to start? Or had you already seen so much momentum with the skincare that you're like, all right, we're already doing well here. We know this sells. Let's stay in the niche. I mean, what was the rationale?
Well, we tried a lot.
We tried a lot in a
of
very
failure.
short period.
I was a model for a lot of things.
Yes, she was.
Hey, babe, wear this. Say
Come on.
this.
Yeah.
Post
That's
it.
why all the money, we really never could save money from the affiliates because we was already trying to do our own thing, always. Hey, let's get this. Didn't work. Hey, like one time we swore these T-shirts because it was a beautiful idea. We got T-shirts. It had mine had like a key on it and it says, what? She has mine.
She has
mine.
She has mine.
Yeah, and then hers had a heart with a locket and said only he has.
Yeah.
You know, so it was supposed to be a beautiful thing. I'm like, look, we're in love. The world's in love.
Yeah, we can sell 2 at a time.
Yeah.
We had one order from like a 60-year-old woman. We wore every shirt to bed, every
Yes,
size.
every shirt.
You know, if I wanted to be brolic, I wore a small.
Yeah. Like you guys use the whole inventory.
Yes,
Bought
man.
it. Yeah.
We're listening to Drake. We're like, oh, we finna get it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
going home. Yeah.
Didn't happen. You know, promoted, threw a little money at it. Like, nah, this is a dud.
So constant attempts and failure in business and
Come
just
on,
kept
man.
going.
Yeah.
So then you start KO Elixir, skincare company.
Yeah.
And how does it go? I mean, what
Man.
happened revenue wise? Because I know you got a pretty amazing stat with that.
Yeah, brother. The first time we did it, man, I think I'm talking about the first day launch, we made like $120. I'm like, that's good. No promotion, no nothing. You know, then we moved up to like the 500 a week. And this is when I bit the forbidden fruit for the last time. Because one of those companies came back around again. You know, because obviously I'm an affiliate guy at that time.
Yeah.
And they said, yo, we have the best offer for you. And this is after I done made my money. And then the guy came back to me. He said, yo, guess what? I got a surprise for you. I'm like, what? We got your check. I'm like, what? You know, they got my check and they said, look, we threw an extra $10,000 on it just because we took 3 months. I'm like, thank you, but I'm done with y'all. You know, y'all are not going to do me like this. So it's a $20,000 check sitting there, you know? And I'm like, yo, I can put this into my business. But then one of the companies came back around. They said, yo, it's a beautiful opportunity. Come on, just put some money in there. You're going to see it. Yeah. So I'm like, cool. I put like $200 in there the first day.
For advertisement.
Made 1,000.
Wow.
So the next day, boom, now I said like 13,000. Like, what? How is it? They said, it's hot, brother. I'm trying to tell you. Put everything towards it. Yeah. We putting everything towards it. At this time I had money in the shoebox. I was collecting ones. Every time I broke a 20, any ones I put in the box. You know, and this over the course of all that time of making all this little money to the point where it's 6,000 ones in there. So I run through the 20,000, the whole 20,000, because I'm not afraid to risk anything if I see reward. Because you know, you got the dashboard and everything, you can see a revenue. Right. You're like, ooh, Friday is gonna be a good day for you. They're beefing me up. Yeah. I'm like, baby, come on. We went to the bank, got all the money out, put it all back into marketing, my shoebox, emptied it. Man, we were supposed to see like the biggest payday in our life, which was be like 50 to 100,000, you know, in a week. And it was like, man, it's right here. We just gotta wait till Friday. You know, all the money is gone. Everything, every dollar is gone. You know, everything that I wanted to invest in my company, I didn't. You know, and we were sitting there waiting. I called, I'm like, yo, it's not here. Because they normally pay me Friday when I wake up. It's in their account. Yeah. I'm like, nothing is in the account. They were like, oh, we're having trouble. Like, what trouble? What trouble? What trouble? Ah, man, the traffic came back bad, man. I'm like, what you mean it came back bad? Well, they just saying a whole bunch of things. Now they don't want to pay. Like, what do you mean they don't want to pay? Like, they have to pay.
Right.
They have to, you know, like, this is our money, man. We just moved in this nice house thinking that we finna, you know, like, at that point, because we scaled down, we said, okay, we can't get this house. If we can get something for like $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month, we'll be straight. That's what we did. We moved into a house rented instead of buying it. And I'm like, rent was coming up. I said, at that point, I'm like, yo, let's at least give me my money back. Give me my money back. Give me my investment back, my original investment. And we're square. I don't care about nothing else. All that money that we gained, throw it away. You know, tell them to keep it, but can I get my money back? They said no. They said they may want to sue you, man. So I squared it away for you, so you don't have to deal with that. It made it seem like it was like one of the inside type of jobs where they ran off with my money because they was moving independent, bringing me offers when I shouldn't have trusted in the beginning. Yeah. But when you, like I said, the loyalty, man, it got to me because I'm like, okay, cool. I see y'all rebels. Y'all quit the system. You know, y'all rebels like me. That's pretty much they was pitching me because they know my background.
They know your soft spot.
Yeah, man. So I'm like, oh, I love it. Rebels, let's go. Let's make it happen. And yeah, that didn't happen, man. I'm in the closet crying. I'm swinging at all our clothes.
They ran out with all the money.
My wife, she
ran off with all the money.
Man,
all of it.
My wife, she's in the room at that time, and she's always been the healer, you know. So she comes in there, babe, what's wrong? What's wrong? I'm laughing, and it's time like it's over, it's over for us. I'm like, what are you talking about? Babe, we lost it all. Listen, take your time, take your breath.
Yeah.
We got this. And that's the point I'm getting loud. I'm like, no, we don't. It's over. Everything is gone. No money in our house.
And I get frustrated. Like, you always do this. It's always over. I'm gonna just go lay down.
Yeah. Because anytime I have a problem, I ball in the corner and say it's over.
Yeah.
But this time I'm like, it's for real. You know? And she walks off crying, man. And I knew that was because of my tone and how I carried things. So I'm like, I need to stop acting like a little bitch. I need to pray. And I need to go. Because at that time, I still had to go to, it's crazy because I met prior engagements with my god brother to go check out this factory. So we're thinking that this finna take off, the skincare company. We're looking at factories for people to do fulfillment.
Right.
Just to find out I don't have no money. So I'm down there like this.
Yeah.
They showing me a lot of things. I'm like, this is nice.
Yeah.
Like, you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. Then I told my brother, I'm like, man, I'm broke, brother. It's over. It's over.
Yeah.
You know, it was horrible, bro. You know, and I end up going to my Tuesday meeting, just gathering with a lot of men of God, and we sit there, either talk about business or, you know, break open the Bible and talk about scripture. And I told my pastor, I'm like, Pastor, it's over. I don't have no more money. You know, I probably have to get a job. And I told myself, I promised myself I would never put myself back in that position. Because I had the unluckiest careers of getting talked down about, you know? And it's like, yo, I promised myself I wouldn't do that to my family. I wanted to be the man in my household. And I'm not,
Yeah.
you know?
My role in our relationship is when he gets like this, I step in and I'm like, okay, well, you got this. You need to get up, stop crying, and you need to keep going because you promised me a life. I promised a life with you when I said I'm gonna stay, and we need to keep the ball rolling. We have to get up and we have to get going. We can't cry our way to anywhere. Yeah. And if you do cry, keep going.
Yeah.
And cry at the same time. Yeah. So I always pick him up and say, okay, come on, wash your face. Let's go. Let's keep on going. We got to find other ways to do things.
Yeah.
And this time, it broke me. I didn't, because he was crying in a way that I never seen him cry before. And now I'm crying. And I had to encourage him to go with his brother to the fulfillment lab. And then that night I had to encourage him to go to his men's meeting. Yep. And it's like, where do we go from here? Because now he's crying too deep where I don't know how to stop crying.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, you know, you always got that stash of money somewhere.
Yeah.
Like when the T-shirt business failed, we still had like $500 over here.
Yeah.
You know, so as long as we had something,
yeah.
You know, and you know it's scary to be an entrepreneur and know that you cut your check. Nobody else does.
Absolutely,
if you don't bring in the chicken, you don't eat, literally. So I'm like, oh man, we're broke. After I talked to my pastor, he said, yo, you have the knowledge. You know how to do it. Yeah. Do it over again. Make it happen. You know, no need to cry, son. God got you.
And I said that same thing to him too.
Yeah.
Before he went there. So when our pastor said it, he was like, my wife said the same thing. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, because throughout the whole process, I kept telling him, yo, you're selling for these companies. We want to start our own business one day. Take it as a learning lesson. Every time you fall down, take it as a learning lesson. And it's like school. I kept saying it's like school. You need to learn everything. When he tried on his suits, when he felt uncomfortable, I'm like, you have to do this. It's like school. It's the next level. You have to do everything you need to do. Just do it.
So you were like Keenan's mentor in a certain sense, right?
In a sense,
Like,
man.
Yeah.
like his motivation,
Yeah.
that voice on the
That
side of his head
voice,
that
man.
pokes him forward.
He
Yeah.
told me what he wanted, and I can't necessarily say I was his mentor, but if you tell me what you want, I'm going to help you get to it.
Yeah.
So if you fall down, I'm like, okay, you want this. You have to get up and keep going.
Yeah.
And that's how it was.
It's cheerleader. I love it.
Yeah, man. It was beautiful, brother.
And KO Elixir, Keenan and Olivia Elixir, once you guys launched it, what were sales like initially, and how did you, like, what was the momentum where you noticed the numbers getting up and up revenue-wise?
Got you. So once we made 500 and I blew the money back in affiliates, I said I would never do that again. So I said I just need to do one good run with a company I trust in affiliate marketing. So I did that one good run, was able to make $1,000 just pure profit, because I didn't do no marketing on other people's pages. I use it on mine. I normally don't use my platform for that because I wanted to save it, because I knew one day I wanted to do what we do now, as far as the course when we'll talk about later and everything, and inspiring millions. So I did that, we made $1,000, and with that 1,000, I put it back into marketing, for KO. Everything we did from that point was for KO. I'm talking about pawning TVs, printers. It was for KO. We pawned the TV for a printer, so we could start printing out the labels. I'm talking about we're cutting it out on the paper. We're putting glue on the label. It was very homemade, brother.
We had to come to Jesus moment. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When it was like, this is the reason why we said we were going to start our own business, because this stuff keeps happening to us.
So no company right there could.
Yeah.
I tuned them out. I'm like, nah, from now on, I'm the big dog, because I let y'all control every part of me. Because, it's like that false sense of being a real entrepreneur, which is why I tell my students, anything that if you're not cutting your own check, you're a false entrepreneur. They try to give you that rules like, yo, you're your own boss. How if you guys can run off with my money?
All right.
How if it's not going directly in my bank account? It's going to y'all first and then you giving it to me, No. So I said, nah, we're going to put everything towards it. And everything was on the up and up, brother. I'm talking about far as sales, to the point where celebrities, cousins was getting in contact with me, like, yo, I would love to try this and everything. My cousin, this person, I never thought that was like true.
Possible,
but I'm like, then I'll see that person. My sales just went crazy. That's because they just did something on their stories about my products and everything. So we was just going up and up, man. And we seen like 1,000 a week. We were like, this is good. Of course, I'm still not thinking of it like the affiliate money, because I'm like, man, we just seen 5,000, 10,000 before. And then we seen 10,000 literally like the next week. So it was growing very rapidly. We seen 6 figures within 2 months.
We celebrated.
Yeah.
We celebrated, because we are the type of people, well, I'm the type of person, I'm not looking at money. I'm looking at the work that I'm putting in. Because if I get money, I'm looking at the numbers too much. I get caught in the numbers, and that's what I don't want to do. Get caught in the numbers.
Get complacent, get comfortable.
You
focus on measuring the output, not the
exactly.
Not the income,
So all we're trying to do is worry. And at that time, we couldn't. We was in the kitchen. Like my sister came along. She's now the manager of a company and everything. She's godsend. She came along and helped us out. We have trash bags by the door of products, like packaged, ready to go for people. To the point, at that time, I had a Camaro. So I used to drop the top and carry like 30 bags. You can't even see my face.
Yeah.
I'm just driving to the post office.
You guys' products,
throwing it, man. And it's like, yo, when I finally checked my phone, I think we was at 300,000. I called her. I was crying.
I used to beg for him to check it. I'm like, check it. Can you please ease my mind that we're actually making money, because you're working pretty hard.
Yeah, make sure we ain't losing. Because I didn't, at that time, I'm not doing profit and loss, man. I'm just happy that we're doing our own thing for real this time. And when we checked 300,000, I was like, man, I'm not worthy. I just started, it was a coming to God moment, like, yo, how is this happening to us? $300,000, that's wild. That's a lot of money. And at that time we went home and we celebrate with crabs. That's what we do. We crack crabs open, and as we're watching HGTV, those houses don't seem so far away now. You know what I'm saying? You seeing the $2 million houses, you like, one
100%
day,
down
maybe.
payment. Yeah.
One day.
Yeah.
You know, we kept persistent. And the thing that pretty much everybody knows us on the internet for is making $1 million in 6 months. You know, it was the same thing with there. I checked it randomly, get my hair cut. I'm like, oh, I put the phone down.
Yeah.
I said, I gotta tell you something when you get home. Hung up on him.
Crab tonight.
You know?
Yeah. Dinner
And,
on me tonight.
yeah, man. As soon as I said we hit the $1 million mark.
Yeah.
She's like, what? I'm like, yes, we did.
It was so surreal. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I had to show her the numbers, man. She didn't believe me, man. And when I showed her, she's like, wow, oh my God. I'm like, we did it. We're some millionaires. We there, you know. And immediately we started planning $1 million company party.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted to do that. You know, obviously we're scared too. We're scared to let the world know anything about us. At that time, nobody didn't know the faces of KO. They don't know if it's a woman or a man behind it. They automatically assume it's a woman because of the cadence and how I was talking to him and how I cared about problems. And that's how I had to learn from my wife. Listen more, care more, because everything that she says is important to her versus how I think it's not important so much to me. So I just translated all that into business, which helped sales immensely, you know? And we never wanted people to know who we are because we didn't want to get judged.
Yeah.
You know?
And what type of products did you guys sell? Like, what are the range of products under KO?
Oh man, it was like stretch mark cream, cellulite cream. So we was helping women like after the babies and everything, postpartum and stuff, you know? So that's, you know, because originally I started it for the money. I knew it was profitable. But then you love the testimonies, man.
Yeah.
When you hear a person say, you gave me my confidence back. I have my confidence. I went out there. Now I met my husband. You know, and you read beautiful testimonies, you're like, yo, I like people now. You know, before I had a false sense of people because of how I grew up. I grew up in areas where you can't trust this person, especially after the whole garbage
watch your
incident.
back or be careful, or so
I'm
you're
like,
more
man,
cynical.
Yeah. So to me, I'm like, people are meant to be this and that until you actually experience the beautiful souls out there. And it's like, it's a different, thank you, baby. It's a different outlook in life now, you know? So we had to do the party. We said, we swallowed it up because at that time, Nipsey Hussle died. You know, this was around the same time when we hit the $1 million mark. And it's like, we don't want that to happen to us. By people knowing who we are, we don't want to get attacked because we don't know who people know. So it's like, we could be around our cousin, but who do our cousin know that might have ill intentions towards us?
Or know where you live,
Yeah.
or people know
My
you have
mom.
money, you become a target.
Yeah, because you know, people talk, they get happy, they get excited. Oh my God. But that's something we had to take up with God and say, look, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. You know why? Because if we don't do it, how are our nieces and nephews going to think that making $1 million is impossible?
Yeah.
We thought it was impossible. You know, we was just working to survive. To hit that mark was like, yo, it's so much more to life. It's not just being a ball player. It's not being a rapper. You can make good life-changing money by starting your own business.
Yeah.
So that was the party, and that's what it was centered around. We hit the $1 million mark. We invited a lot of people. Of course, you know, everybody don't show up because everybody's not going to be happy for you. You know, so we had to be in turn happy for ourselves and document it because we know what we're doing now. Film lives forever.
Yeah.
You know, even after we perish, you know, that one day they have that to go back to.
Yeah,
and
a
say,
body of
"I
work that
seen
lives
it.
on.
I seen it.
We wanted to build legacy for our children.
Yeah.
That was another thing that we bonded on when we first got together. Our children growing up with us being married and like his parents, my parents are separated, and having something to give to our children versus leaving them with debt.
Yeah.
And that was our angle. Make money for our children and just live happy.
Yeah. So it was never about we never had the mark in our head.
Yeah.
You know how everybody say, yo, I want to make $1 million. That wasn't our goal. Our goal was to survive and be our own boss so nobody would mistreat us like how they handled us before.
Right.
So, you know, after the party and everything, it showed us like we can let the world know who we are now. I believe it's safe to say that we're safe and covered, that we can let people know who we are.
Yeah, and I've seen my mom put a very unhealthy dose of paranoia on us.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, hey, people are going to kill you. Don't tell anybody. hide it to yourself. Don't even let your kids know. Just
You
keep it
know?
to yourself. I was like,
Because
okay.
I'm like, so many people don't do that, and
Yeah.
now you're left uninspired. You're only looking at the rapper. They might be talking about, things in their music that you don't want your kids to know,
Yeah.
right? Or you got to look at playing ball, where we know it's like a 1% chance that you could even make it to the league.
Right.
I wanted to show people it's other means of really making money out there, no matter what your background. Like I said, I dropped out in 11th grade, had felonies. And it's like, yo, we still made $1 million. So if I could show everybody else, like, no matter what you do in life, you can do it. We came together and made best of a situation, that was small, but we grew it to something big.
Yeah.
And that fueled your passion in business, and now you guys share it with others.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about, for people who are watch this and go, whoa, like that was an amazing story, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
appreciate you guys sharing that. But for people listening and maybe they want to find out more information about your course or your program, we'll put a link in the description below. You guys can follow them, hit them up. Can you talk a little bit about what the course teaches and what you've seen and helped some of your students accomplish?
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure, man. Skip the 7 figures, man. Skip the 7 figures is the name of the program and everything. We call ourselves 7 Gang, 7-figure earners, gang going after new goals.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much our outlook. Our sign is this, it's 7 in ASL, I wanted to create that for multiple reasons. I wanted to give people an extra outlet versus just listening to my course, my videos. So even with that, that's priceless. I teach people how to start and grow a business step by step, successfully, versus because everybody think they need a loan. Yo, I need $1 million in order to make $1 million. No, we started with just $300 and created our company. Yeah. So you don't need all this and all that, and it's only $35. At first we charged $20, I wanted to go the different route from all my guru, fellow friends.
Yeah.
I know I wanted to do something where people could actually afford, man. Like that, my realism of looking at my mom's situation or, anybody's situation when it's like, yo, money might not be 100% there, but you have the passion and you know what you're capable of. And it wasn't about money at that point because I felt like we could live off our business. So I wanted to charge pretty much dirt cheap to nothing. I tell people like, you're just paying for the program at this point. The system, you paying for the system that I gotta pay for every month, basically, with how cheap it is.
Yeah.
And man, we was able to create some magic over there. So it's not only that you get the program, you get added to a private page full of thousands of entrepreneurs. We have beautiful souls over there, man, like
Yes.
Miss Christine, who helps people build their LLCs, or Rennie, who pretty much helps everybody else with their problems.
She delegates for us so much.
So
for
it's
everything.
like, we don't even have to really say anything too much, but I do go on live every other night on there, and we just talk business and game. Like
Pour
right
into
before
them.
you came here,
Yeah.
man, we're a family. We love each other. That's all we always, I love you, I love you. So it's something that we're building because we know our purpose is so much bigger. I tell everybody that all the time. I keep it super real with them. We want to succeed so we can change the world. I want to buy an island for them, a city. That's why I'm working up to that $1 billion goal, because we really want to help people, and just for some of those students, we give out 100K plaques every time they pass it.
Wow.
We have like 5, 6 of them so far, and the program only been open for 7, 8 months, bro.
Yeah.
People like Perfect PH, came out there with her feminine care line, killing it.
Jay.
My brother Mike, man, come out there with his skincare line, killing it. Ruben, just beautiful souls, and they out here killing it, man. They're making it happen, and they're pretty much become like the ambassadors of the group, where they talk to the people as well, because a lot of people want to hear from them. But it works because we're a family. I upload content every so often. It's like the Netflix of business. I don't have fluff in there. It's straight to the point. I tell people how to do this, where to get this from. Do this, do that, do this, do that.
The exact same formula we used for our business to grow our business.
Because this is pretty much about marketing versus starting a skincare line. Yeah. So I'm telling you can be successful doing anything you want.
Yeah.
Let me show you how to do this. And I'm not worried about competition, which I know most people, they say, yo, I have a problem with courses because they might give 25% of the info versus me giving 100.
Yeah.
Because it's not about that to us, you know? Like, we know we want to free God's people in a way where we see the 9 to 5 really don't take care of everybody how it should, you know? They cap you at a certain rate when you are worth more than $8 an hour. I knew I was worth more than $8 an hour back then. I couldn't speak up for myself though, because I didn't have no backings. Nobody else, I didn't have a me to teach me.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have a couple like us to look at back then, you know, because we say it all the time, like, man, I wish somebody wrote this book for us. Being a couple, being an entrepreneur couple, you know, every decision, you're literally either building your empire or destroying it. Like, it was crazy, you know.
Roller coaster rides.
Yeah, you know about it, brother.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to start a business from scratch into our business. You can have a business.
It's probably just not making as much as you want it to.
Yeah.
And we can help you grow it.
Show you how to grow it organically.
Now, let me ask you this. And I have 3 more questions before I wrap up here, and this is one of them, is what do you think the biggest mistake that most entrepreneurs make that you guys have seen that you kind of help people correct whether it's mindset or their best practices? What are the biggest mistakes you see most entrepreneurs make?
You can go
who try to
go.
do it on their own and get stuck?
Man, they start too soon. They start too soon without lack of information. You know, this is really research. Research. We know Facebook is winning because they have data. They have understood the game for a long period of time. And the same thing with anything. I tell people, no matter what product you start, but you have to know the most about that product. When somebody pull up on you and say, yo, I want to buy this, tell me about this, you already supposed to have it in your head without sitting there studying. You're supposed to know, no, my products gives you this, it gives you this, it heals this. You know, you're supposed to know the science behind it. If you know the science behind it, you will do well. You know, and that's the problem. People start businesses they don't care about. They start businesses they don't care about because they think that it might be profitable for them versus sitting there learning and saying, okay, cool. I know what to do now. I know how to work.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say, the best businesses are the best servants.
Yes.
It's about understanding how you can really serve
Exactly. You have to be a servant, man.
And I feel like where they fell at when they first start is not having a real why. You don't know why you're doing it. You just want money. Like, you might not be struggling or you might be struggling, but even still, that's not going to take you all the way there. Like for us, like I said, it was our children. We needed something for our children if anything happened to us any day, at any moment. We needed them to be secure. So you have to have a why. Yeah. Why are you doing this? Why are you selling this product? Why are you okay with taking people's money and living off their money, but it's not going to sustain you for a long period of time because now you're playing a short game, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
So if you're going to play the short game, have a good reason why to keep you going. Right. And then until you'll feel okay with taking people's money, it's like you accept it and say, hey, I have this reason why I have to do this versus give me your money, give me your money, give me your money.
Right.
I'm going to stop this next week, but I need your money now. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel makes people fail. They have short-term goals. They don't have any real why.
This is a long-term game, man.
Yeah.
It's macro.
And it doesn't work out because they give up too fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, what about this? When it comes to relationships, because a lot of people might be watching this and they go, okay, this is insightful, not only for business, not only your guys' story of, you know, overcoming adversity and being resilient in life and business, but when it comes to relationships, what's your best advice? And you guys can each chime in here on what it takes to have a relationship that works. Because I mean, even your guys' chemistry, hand-holding, like I love the connection here. And let's face it, I mean, we live in a society, especially now post-COVID, where divorce rates are through the roof. Couples are fighting. People are in the wrong relationships. Millionaires, billionaires, and broke people go through the same, you know, tragedies in their personal relationships. But clearly you guys have something that not only works, but took you from dollar menus to millions.
Come on.
What advice would you guys give to people out there around the world watching or listening? If you could give, you know, your best piece of wisdom on what it takes to find a relationship or make a relationship that really works.
Right. I would say have that hard conversation first. That hard conversation has to happen. Like, hey, what are our goals? One of us will have to fall back and make a goal together. You know, and that's what people don't want to do. They have like my wife did. She let go of the career goal that she had in her head for the common one that will build us ultimately an empire down the road.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that most people don't want to do. They're like, no, I want to do this. I'm gonna do this. And the other person say, I'm gonna do this then. And it never really works out because
pulls them
people,
apart.
yeah, they pull apart, man, to the point where the love cuts out of it versus saying, let's build something together. That's the beautiful thing about having a partner is this is a partner through life and death, man. Like you go broke together. Y'all eating the same food together. We was sitting there smiling eating those chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
You know, like
literally the dollar menu.
yeah, you know, like there's no other better feeling than knowing that you have somebody to go through life with and they won't judge you not one bit. You know, so if you don't have that hard conversation, you already entering on the wrong foot, especially trying to be entrepreneurs. We know this is a journey, man.
Yeah.
You go through ups and downs, arguing because you understand money will have to be placed here when you know you really want to do this because you still have the balance of life.
Yeah.
And most people, you know, which good thing about me and my wife, she'll help balance the life while I work forward because she knows I'm a forward worker, I'm a forward thinker, I'm gone, you know, and she'll have to pull me back like, babe, hey, let's live a little bit. Let's enjoy life, you know, to the point where I start learning, like, you're right, instead of just working. So it has to be a yin and yang when it comes to this business thing. Have that hard conversation. Tell that person what you want. As long as you know that it's selfless, you want it together. Because most things people want something solo versus saying, hey, let's find out what we want together.
Yeah.
And let's see if that overpowers what we want solo. And it should.
Yeah.
That way you have a mutual vision, like two people working towards one vision as opposed to one here,
you can
one here.
kill the goal quicker.
Yeah.
If the goal is financial freedom,
Yeah.
right? Versus I just want to do this because I like doing this. That's a hobby at that point. But if the goal is financial freedom, everything shuts off. Like, okay, this is what we do.
Yeah.
You
Now
know?
you're on a mission as a
Come
team.
together.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a puzzle, man. It's
Yeah.
a puzzle.
I love
Play
that.
your role and play it well.
Would you say play your role and play it well?
Yeah.
I love that.
My advice to couples starting off on this, I believe I gave a young lady this advice. She came into my DMs. She asked me about her relationship
This was good.
with her current boyfriend. She said she loved the relationship, but she's nervous about going into business with him. I told her to start off her relationship because she's already in it, but to have an intimate conversation.
Away from the kids.
Yeah,
Dinner.
away from the kids, away from everybody else, and let this person know, hey, I'm excited to see the person that you're going to grow into being in this relationship. And he loves that. But you also need to understand that people are going to fall. They're going to trip. They're going to get upset. They're going to get mad. But as long as they have you there with them, like, it's going to be okay. But you also have to give people time to grow and understand that they might not know how to express themselves in the moment that they have. You guys might be in a creative process. They might have grown, you have grown, but you guys don't know how to express how you guys have grown. You have to stop and reevaluate those moments and say, hey, this is a new year. Excuse me. This is a new year. I feel different. Do you feel different? Let's talk about these differences and see if we can continue to work together. And keep evaluating and keep evaluating. And that's how the process goes. I told my husband, I said, hey, in a couple years, we're going to change. We're going to like totally different things. I think we were like, I'm 28 now. I think we were like 24. He was 25. And I'm like, we're getting married. I want to know that we're still going to be cool when we get older, like throughout this process. So I'm gonna ask you, like, what's new about you? One day I'm just gonna come up to you and ask you, and you have to be able to tell me because I might not know you anymore. Right. And so, like, it actually happens, but you have to reevaluate. And even in the business world, when it comes down to doing business, you have to stop and say, hey, I understand you like this at this point in time, but do you still like this? Because you can go on and on and on with somebody, and their whole thought process can change. And you wouldn't know, and they'll give up. They would have ended the whole relationship, and you not knowing how to deal with this person because you didn't take the time out to reevaluate.
To communicate.
Yeah. And communicate. Right. And last thing, we had a guy come on. He was like, hey, I'm at the point with my wife where I'm ready to just take the kid and leave my wife. Because I want to do this. I want to do this entrepreneur thing, and she's not with me. I said, hey, take your wife into this intimate setting. Let her know, sit her down, and let her know that this does not work without her. You keep saying
Inclusion.
you and what you want to do. She's not going along with it because she doesn't feel involved. You have to say, hey, I need this to work. I need you here with me. If you're not here with me, nothing works. You have to let that person know that they're critical to the process. Right. And without that, it won't work. And without that involvement, they won't be involved. They're like, hey, you want to do that? I don't want to do that because I don't feel like I'm involved. And they keep pushing you out to the side, and you guys grow apart in business. But you have to let that person know, I need you. You need to be involved. I need you by my side. I need your think piece. I need your mindset. I need your push when I can't push. Let them know that they're critical in your life, and that's how you go in a relationship and business.
Yeah, that's beautiful. You guys got to write a book about that.
Oh, she already is.
She's working on it?
Starting on hers.
Yeah, the KO Diaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the last question I have here, and then we play a quick game at the end, which is pretty fun.
Gotcha.
And that's for people around the world watching or listening, who might be moved by your story, inspired by what you guys have done,
right,
both personally, intimately, and professionally. And that is, what advice would you give to people around the world who are looking for answers? Maybe they're trying to become successful. Maybe they're trying to make their dreams happen. But maybe they're in a place where they're listening to this podcast or watching this episode at home. Maybe they're smoking a joint, or they're drinking, or they're just pondering what it is they want to do with their life. And maybe they're not in a good point. Or maybe they kind of had a win and now they're down and they're kind of on that seesaw and they're looking for motivation, inspiration. But they're looking for answers on what it takes from somebody who's been on the other side. What advice would you give to people who are looking for answers on the best advice you've learned for success in life and business?
Got it. Man.
Loaded question, I know.
Very. But very much needed, man. You're there. You're sitting there. You're wondering what's next. We did the same thing. We always wonder, what's next, man? We can't just be sitting here being stagnant. We can't be sitting here and being another statistic on, we just didn't make it. We fell short. We have to live off the government. No, it's a possibility. If it happened to us, it can happen to you. Mm-hmm. Life can change in an instant. Things can happen in an instant, tomorrow can be different. All you got to do is turn that chapter, because this chapter might be shitty, but that just might be the plot.
Yeah.
The next chapter might be the millions, which it happened for us in a short period of time because we changed that chapter. Because once we changed it, everything changed. We're not looking at what we are currently. We're looking at who we're going to become. I had to play for who I am now back then. Yeah. I was like, I might be a little damn, a person out here getting in damn trouble all the time. This ex-felon, this person who didn't graduate, But I could be this guy who makes more than people who did graduate. I could be this guy who really helps people in a major way, who can inspire millions. I just got to go meet that guy, And I always try to play it in, like, let's say if it's 2 different dimensions, where you can go really visit your past self and say, I did this because of you. Mm-hmm. So I don't down myself for what I did, because it made me who I am now. Mm-hmm. And I said, was a teamwork. I needed you. You needed me. Mm-hmm. Now we're here because of all the sacrifice you gave. Mm-hmm. Same thing with anybody else who's sitting there saying, I got kids, man. We had kids. I was heavy out there in the streets. I was as well. Mm-hmm. We were single mothers, single fathers. We was that as well. Pretty much everything that anybody else went through. You lost people, we lost people too. Mm-hmm. But one thing we did was move forward, man. We can't get caught up in the pain of things. Use that pain to fuel the engine to keep going. You know what I'm saying? To keep going, to move, to let nothing stop you. I'm highly competitive, man. I want to do better at everything. I want to beat me yesterday. Every day I have to outdo myself. I treat a month like a year. We do it all the time. We say, yo, one day just went by, that's 1 month, you know, or just say something where if you really maximize every single month, you can't say that you haven't lived. You can't say that you haven't grown. If you do everything better in this previous month than the next month, you will grow and it will be tremendous because you just did more, you know? So no matter where you are in life, you can start with little money like we did, you know? That was our way of finding the answers we needed. As far as how are we going to take care of our children? How can we take care of their children? You know, with us, you know, we love medieval movies.
Yeah.
You know, to us, our last name means the world.
Yeah.
You know, just like back in the day when they say, yo, I'm son of this person.
Yeah.
You know, and it meant something. That last name meant something. And our mission is to bring that back where whatever your last name is, you know you're going to be responsible for a whole new generation, right?
That
You
legacy.
know, that legacy has to be there. So don't do nothing to dishonor the family. So that means you will have to work so you can prove yourself worthy to have this last name. And I believe if more families carried themselves like that, like, yo, I'm not finna embarrass myself. I'm finna work hard because my father is this, my mother is this, you know, and I have this name. You know, we're working on family crest and everything on like the gate of our new home, man. Like, we really want to bring back that medieval feel. We love those movies because of how they cared so much and was willing to bring honor, you know. I say that to say, if we all just sit and really reevaluate life, we're all the same. We all had that chapter in our book. Some people turned it quicker. Some people had it easier, you know. But ultimately, we all have the same 24 hours. Every last one of us, you know, just like you was able to become successful, you know, in the person you are today. Same thing with us. We just turn our chapters a little quicker than most. But that book ain't finished yet.
Yeah.
I love it.
Keep going.
I love
Oh.
it.
I
What about
feel,
you, Olivia?
yeah, I feel like most people need to stop, like you said, and reevaluate themselves and think about, stop thinking about yourself, but think about yourself. And I say that to say this as in, you have to think about yourself in the future. If you're constantly in this bubble, when you think about yourself in the moment, when you're depressed and you're down and out, you will never get up and keep going. You have to think about, you know what? Next week, I might start a book. Next week, I might meet somebody and join a band. You have to imagine things that you could be doing versus today is this and today is that and today is this.
Imagination has to be strong.
You have to have imagination. I tell people to sit down and meditate and learn how to listen to your own thoughts instead of having other people come in and interrupt your thoughts. Because now you're thinking about what this person said and you don't even know what you really enjoy in life. Because this person like, hey, let's go get ice cream. Reality, you're lactose intolerant. You keep eating ice cream because this person enjoys it.
Right.
But you might actually just love fruit, but you wouldn't know that because you don't sit down and take time for yourself to say, hey, I love fruit.
And it's the simple things like that over time compounded,
Yeah.
that
So
change your life. Yeah.
if you take the time to say, okay, well, I'm not worried about today. I'm gonna figure out what I like tomorrow. I'm actually gonna get up and I'm gonna do it.
Right.
Say, hey, I have this hankering that, hey, I might actually like surfing. I don't know how to surf. I'm actually scared of water, but I'm gonna take that chance to do it. You might become a pro surfer one day. You have to be able to say anything that I think of that I might enjoy, I'm gonna try it. And if I do enjoy it, I'm gonna do more of it.
Yeah, man.
And just try to do more of the things that you love. And until you'll keep moving. You will keep moving because trying new things get you out of that bubble. Like, as long as you love it, do it. And that's my thing.
We always had a saying, like, you're the shit.
Yeah, you're
remember
the
that.
shit.
You have to remember that. Like, we're individuals. You're the shit.
You're the shit. Tell yourself that all the time.
Yeah.
You're the shit. I'm the shit.
Yes.
Even if you don't feel like it, just say, I'm the shit. It'll instantly make you feel better.
Yeah.
And another thing is,
It's so good.
anxiety takes over people. Like, I have really bad anxiety, but like when I do stuff like this, like I normally don't talk, but when I get in front of anyone and you ask me to talk, it's like, why not?
Yeah.
Go for it. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. And yeah, I'm the shit. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Nothing can stop me because they asked me to do it, so I'm gonna do it.
Facts.
And why not? But I feel like anxiety stops a lot of people from doing things. And with me, like my hands would normally be sweating, pouring sweat right now. I'd be cleaning me all over. I had to take my anxiety and turn it into a superpower. Like before you guys came, my husband said, "Are you nervous?" I said, "No." And then I thought about it because he asked. And then my hands start sweating. And I'm like, oh man, when my hands sweat and I get all anxiety and all nervous, this means something good is gonna happen. Something big is gonna happen.
Yes.
So you have to learn to turn your anxiety into a superpower and say, I feel it. This is like my spider sense tingling.
Yeah.
And if I feel like this right now, that means the next step I take will entail be the best thing, the best decision I can make. So you have to be able to step over that anxiety and push past it. You have to be able to dream past the moment that you're in, figure out some outlandish thing that you might not never do and do it.
Yeah.
And it'll take you so far in life.
Exactly.
It'll take you so far.
And realize it's possible.
Yeah, and realize
Yeah.
it's possible.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I love it. I literally am out of questions. I rarely am out of questions, but that's good. I mean, the one thing I will say is that I'm really impressed by not only your guys' story, not only by your guys' chemistry, but your guys' ability to still be sympathetic to what it's like to be on the other side of the fence.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people listening sometimes can get disassociated because they feel, oh, what do they know? They're millionaires. They don't know the struggle I'm in, the hustle. But you're working at Skechers making $7 an hour.
Yeah.
She has her child. You have your child. You guys are trying to figure it out together. Your guys' stories are very relatable, and so it's been a privilege to have you guys on. Before we wrap up, though, because this has been incredibly inspiring.
Right.
At the end of every episode, we play a game called First Things First.
Right.
So the way the game works is we rifle off a word or phrase, and then you guys just say the first word or phrase that comes to mind. Make sense?
Right.
The only rule is that you can't repeat yourself twice.
Okay.
So it's like a fun relation game. Okay?
Okay.
So I'll say a word. You just tell me the first word or phrase that comes to mind. Make sense?
Cool.
Who wants to go first from you guys? It's 10 and 10, so we'll see who wants to go first.
I'll go first.
Okay. You ready?
Sure.
All right. First word, Keenan.
Love,
Second word, love.
children,
Money.
houses,
KO elixir.
building,
Your failures.
my mom,
God.
love,
The most defining factor in like something that changed your life. Like what was a turning point in your life? A major turning point.
is that a, no, I have to say a phrase or just one
Yeah,
word?
anything. You can tell a story, anecdote, anything.
Keenan. Yeah.
That says it all.
Yeah.
Yeah. The man with the black pants, the black and gold pants, huh?
Yeah.
Your future.
Beaches,
Come on.
What you hope people get from this interview.
growth,
And the last one, you ready? What passion means to you and Keenan in your guys' life.
the first thing that popped in my head was peanut butter jelly sandwich. Yeah, eating the things that we love. That's it. Just that moment when we're eating stuff that we love.
Moments, man.
Yeah, we're the most happiest.
Eating crab.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, Keenan, you ready for your 10?
Let's go.
All right. First one, money.
Love it.
Your first million.
Emotional.
Olivia.
Love. Compassion.
The biggest mistake you ever made.
Not doing it sooner.
The role God has played in your life and business.
Father. Love. Everything. Like there. Present.
Your why.
My children. My wife's happiness.
Legacy. Your legacy. You and Olivia's legacy.
Legends. Legends.
What you hope people get from listening to this story.
Change.
Your course, Skip to 7 Figures.
Amazing. Need it. Need it. Get it tomorrow.
And the last one, you ready?
Yeah.
What it means to be one of the passionate few for you.
Man. Means everything. Just to be on here after this, brother, that been around amazing people. Right before you came in, I'm talking to my wife and I'm talking to my friend Fresh. I'm like, yo, are we worthy of his presence? You know, like that's how I think about people, man. You're doing something amazing. You took your time out to build this amazing platform for people like us to get inspired. And you know, it's an honor. It's an honor. You know, you mean as much to me as anybody along my journey, because I credit some of my journey to you. You know, just seeing people out there who's willing to take their time, you know, and give the information when nobody is. You know, I see you fighting the same fight I'm fighting. You know, and that's getting the information out there to the people, showing them that it's possible to become one of the passionate few.
I love it. And the final one, bonus one, is what passion means to you. Same question I asked Olivia. The role passion plays in your life and your business.
Man, it means everything, because we know if we still doing it, we're not gonna do nothing that we don't love. Yeah. You know, and we love helping people change their life. We love change. We love seeing new things. You know, like we love going new places. So the passion means everything, because we won't do it without it. We have turned down millions of dollars from other people based off of what they want us to do. If my passion is not to promote whatever you have, or my passion is not to do this or do that, I'm not going to do it. You know what I'm saying? I move off of God's time and what's best for my family.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for bringing your passion to the show.
Yes, sir.
Keenan, Olivia, it's been a privilege. Thank you guys for tuning in, and make sure to follow Keenan and Olivia in the description below. You guys can check them out. Also, check out their Skip to Seven Figures program, KO Elixir. Anything you guys like, I highly recommend you guys follow them and check out everything they have. Until next time, live strong, live with passion, and remember, if your dreams are going to happen, it's up to you to make it so. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for enjoying this video. And if you found this content valuable, uplifting, and inspiring to take your life and your business to the next level, then I have some exciting news for you. Because the Passionate Few Academy officially launched our brand new on-demand training that you can access absolutely free at www.tpfacademy.com. Right there, you'll learn the #1 way to grow your personal brand or business brand online fast. The same way I've learned from interviewing some of the most successful people on the planet right here on the show who've done exactly that. So again, don't forget to check it out, www.tpfacademy.com. I promise you'll be blown away. And also, don't forget, there's 3 ways you can connect with me further. #1, you can text me absolutely free at the number on the screen right now and send me your most pressing life, business, or branding question, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. #2, if you'd like to be interviewed on the show, you can actually apply right now in the description below and apply to share your incredible story, brand, or business right here with an audience of potentially millions of people, the same way we've helped experts, entrepreneurs, and authors just like you. And don't forget, that opportunity comes with the ability to partner with us and help feed 1 million people through our partnership with Feeding America. Again, you can click the link in the description below titled Interview Application to find out more. And last but not least, #3, if you'd like to get consulting from our team and work with you to help you grow your personal brand or business brand, no matter what industry you're in, we can do that by simply filling out the questionnaire in the description below titled Consulting Application. And if our team thinks that you'd be a great fit, who knows, you may just be invited to work with us to help you take your business to the next level. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for enjoying this video. Make sure to smash that subscribe button, turn on post notifications so you never miss an episode. And until next time, live strong, live with passion, and I'll see you in the next inspiring video.